All right, I think we are just about ready. Pocket so it doesn't bother me while I'm sitting here. And looks like I got sound in OBS. It's out of the way. Find the chat window. There we are. Some tunes running here. This one will scoot this over. Super glad that OBS can capture a window even when I don't have it in the foreground, or like even if I have it hanging halfway off of the screen. I have my chat kind of pushed halfway off, but OBS is still able to capture it and cut out the section we want there and put it on the screen, which is really nice. Got one more thing here, so let's do this. Yep. Sound. Quieter, let's go. Go. All right, sounds good on YouTube. Nice, thank you. Today you're driving Feather S2 and the TFT Featherwing. Made a Franken portal. That's pretty cool because then your network is on the main chip, whereas the real Pi portal, which actually I have pulled up. Also, I don't have the camera. Oh, is the camera running? The camera is running. That means the camera was on all night, but that's all right. Speaking of a Pi portal, funny you should mention it. We have the Pi portal loaded up right here. Using the Feather S2 though would be super nice because then your Wi-Fi comes from the main chip instead of the secondary like coprocessor, which works out all right, but does sometimes get a little confused between the two. So let's do quick introduction, including I'll explain a little bit what any of that stuff is about for folks that might not know. So to start out with, hello everyone. My name is Tim. I go by foamyguy on Discord and GitHub. And in this stream, as well as the majority of my streams, we will be working on CircuitPython stuff. So this is the website for CircuitPython, circuitpython.org. You can head here if you want to learn more about the project. Give you a brief idea though, if you've never heard of it before. This is a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers. There's a bunch of them in the pictures in the background here that I always like to scroll down to and show that there are many different shapes and sizes for these different tiny computers here. But the thing that ties them all together is that they are capable of running CircuitPython, which means when you plug them into your computer, they show up basically like a thumb drive would, just an extra drive on your computer. And there's going to be a code.py file on that drive, and you can edit that code file. And as soon as you save it, this microcontroller will notice that it changed and go ahead and rerun the newest version of the program. It's real quick and easy to write CircuitPython code and save it to one of these devices. That's one of the major upsides to CircuitPython is how quickly you can edit your code and save it and get it running. You can go through the iteration process of development very, very, very fast. So it's great for prototyping. Even if eventually you do move on to something lower level, you can get a lot of testing and prototyping done this way to prove out if an idea is going to work or not, right? So that's one way to use CircuitPython. There's obviously many more, education, just playing around for fun, IoT projects around your house, all sorts of things like this you can use CircuitPython for. The one that I have loaded up here, this is a Pi portal device. So this is, again, one of these tiny computers. This main chip here in the center is the main computer on this device. It's a SAMD51 in this case. This one also has Wi-Fi access using this ESP32 over here. So this is connected back and forth with the main chip. They talk to each other, and the main chip will tell the Wi-Fi chip to go out to the internet and fetch something, or to connect to the network, or whatever it needs to tell it to do. So PyPortal, this is one of the ones that I do use quite a bit on the stream, because I tend to focus on display-related stuff a fair amount. So this one's nice because it has the built-in screen here, a nice large, 3-inch or something like that screen, 320 by 240 pixels. And it does also have a touch overlay on it as well. So you can touch it and it will know that it is being touched, and it will know where it's being touched, like X, Y coordinates on the screen there, which is pretty nice. Also, some of you may have spied this one up here. We've got a secondary device set up here that I'll use a little while later. This is a Feather, what is that, a Feather RP2040? Yeah, Feather RP2040, and then got a little 7-segment Featherwing plugged in there that we'll do some testing on later. So that's kind of a high-level look at what CircuitPython is. If you're interested in the project, again, head to circuitpython.org. If you want to get involved in the project, there's a couple of ways you can do it. The Discord, which is showing on the screen, I guess, would that be, that's below me, right? The Discord that's showing down here is the Adafruit Discord. And right now, this is showing the live broadcast chat, but there is also a CircuitPython dev chat. There's a help with CircuitPython chat. There's many other channels on that Discord that deal with CircuitPython and the related things, projects, stuff like that. So head there if you want to talk to the folks who are working on the project and get involved. Another thing you could do, contributing. If you click this link, contributing at the top here, this is going to take you to a list of all of the pull requests, the open pull requests, as well as the open issues. So this is kind of how we tend to get folks started with the project, is reviewing pull requests. That's kind of usually the first step in. So you can find these pull requests, if you have the hardware for one, or if you're just interested in a particular one. You can see it in this list. You can see the title of what the PR is about. You can click into it to go to GitHub here and see the actual pull request. And so if you have the hardware for this, you can test it up, leave a comment, saying whether it worked or not. Even if you don't have the hardware, you can still look over the code changes. Click Files Changed here, and this is going to show you all of the additions and removals in the code. You can look over the code as well, and even if you're not super experienced with Python, there's still value in having you look over this stuff, right? You can look for misspellings, or maybe comments that maybe should be added to clarify things, or stuff like that. Even stuff like that's very helpful. So this is a really great way to start getting involved if you do want to do that. The other thing I'll mention here, CircuitPython is an open source project, but it is primarily funded by this company right here, Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. You can head to their website to purchase all sorts of devices. All of those microcontrollers, they make a bunch of different microcontrollers. Of course, other people make these devices as well, but they make a bunch of them themselves. They also make a bunch of the sensors and breakouts and other things that you can connect to your microcontroller to build a larger project. So all sorts of bits and bobs. There's a couple knobs on the screen here. There's all kinds of LEDs, RGB lights, all of that sort of stuff. They sell pretty much anything that you can imagine that you plug in and use microcontrollers for. They probably sell at least one type of whatever that thing is. So head there, and again, they are the ones paying the folks who are working on the project full time. So they are primarily the ones funding the project by paying the developers. So on behalf of myself and everyone else who does work on the project and is paid by Adafruit to do so, we definitely appreciate if you will head to here and purchase your hardware from them, because that is helping them be able to continue funding the project. So huge thanks for folks that do that. Hi Linge there, H Linge. I probably am maybe not pronouncing that right. Sorry if so, but how's it going there in the Twitch chat? Looks really nice. I'm not sure what I had up, maybe the PyPortal or the page with all the other images, but thank you nonetheless. Okay, so we got the introduction. Let's close this. So today I'm just going to be working on some PR testing and reviews. So I was going to do the 7-segment one. Oh, yeah. PyPortal is where we need to start. Well, it's actually the PyPortal device, but it's ESP32SPI. GitHub. You know what I'm going to do actually is this ESP32 SPI CircuitPython GitHub. Yeah, this is what we want. So yesterday it was noticed that this library has a issue that is causing the requests not to work. Like if you make a request for folks, touch LED, nice, yeah. For folks, let's see, what was I going to say about that? So yeah, for folks that don't know about like CPython, in CPython there's this sort of de facto standard request library, Python requests. This is kind of one of the most popular Python libraries. This, of course, is for CPython, though, you know, quote unquote regular Python that you run on the PC. But in CircuitPython land, we also have a subset of this. So this is going to be called Adafruit requests. Search that one up here. CircuitPython, Adafruit CircuitPython requests. So this is kind of the analogy to this requests CPython library, the CircuitPython one. It has a very similar API. It is a subset of the API, though. The CircuitPython one does not have quite as many features as the real one. But that's, of course, because these microcontrollers are fairly limited, right? They have relatively small RAM, relatively small amount of space to store code. So there are limitations, and that is why a lot of the libraries end up being subsets of their CPython counterparts. But this one is for fetching stuff from the internet, and it was noticed yesterday that it does no longer fetch stuff from the internet on the PyPortal device. So let's load up PyCharm and look into this. And TechTrick, I believe, huge thanks to TechTrick. Let me scoot this over for a minute. TechTrick, who has been doing a bunch of our typing PRs. TechTrick's been really good about that, so thank you to him. He is the one that made the new function that this ultimately is using, and he already looked into it and proposed a fix for it last night, so we're going to be testing out that fix. Open, we want to get the, no, let's go recent, we want the device. Sorry, I just want to get my PyCharm open here. Do the right thing. This one that was open was a unrelated project. So we got device workspace. We're not plugged in. Let's go ahead and plug in. Show the camera. I mean, nothing special is really happening, but we're going to plug in this PyPortal just with a standard micro USB. All right. I will probably make it for a few more minutes, but I'm going to have to get up and put the sun blocker out, I think, after it gets a little bit further in the window here. So what I'm going to do is get everything up to date with the newest versions of everything, and then we're going to replicate the problem. So right now my PyPortal has got some different version, like I was testing different versions last night of both the library and CircuitPython itself. So right now we're on, I think 7.0. Yeah, 7.0.0 right now. So we want to get to something newer. I think what I'll do is just grab, I believe I have these downloaded. Clean up my downloads folder. So right now the release version, the production release, the stable release, is 7.1.1. There is also a beta, or alpha, I guess, technically, of 7.2.0. So I'm going to run with the alpha. I tend to grab always the latest version if I can. So I just double-clicked my reset. That put my PyPortal in bootloader mode. So then it shows up as, again, just like a thumb drive. This time it has a different name with boot in the name. This is how you load CircuitPython to it, is just download a UF2 file, paste it right in this boot drive. You get your UF2 from circuitpython.org, and if you click downloads here, this is going to list all the devices that can run CircuitPython. So there's quite a few, obviously, 274. We're creeping up towards 300 devices, which is amazing. And when you click into one, this is where you'll get the UF2. So download UF2 right there, and that's pretty much the file that I copied over. Of course, I would have used the one for the PyPortal from this page, but it works the same really no matter which device you have. And so that has finished copying, and what you see is the device rebooted, and it came back now as CircuitPy instead of PyPortal boot. So if we look back in the drive, we can see the boot out file now says 720.alpha1. So we are on the latest version. Well, the latest alpha release version. There are newer ones actually if you build from main, or if you download them from the Amazon S3 storage. But we'll go with the latest alpha release. I think it's good. So I'm going to just delete requests because I don't remember which version I'm on. And ESP32 spy because we want to get to the newest version. Is that it? Yeah, I guess that's probably it. Okay, so we deleted those. Now I'm going to install requests using circup. Circup install Adafruit requests. Circup is kind of like pip. It's a command line tool for installing libraries on your device. So that downloaded requests and copied it over to my device. If I look back in this list now and I refresh it, reload, except I think I need to reload this folder. I really like PyCharm, but it does have a few quirks like this where like the thing you click refresh on matters a lot. So now we have requests here, even though I just deleted a minute ago because Circup has put it back. For the ESP32 spy, I think what I'm going to do actually is open the repo for that project. Which I'll do this, I think, first. Let's just open a random one, which will be in the right folder. Then we can do open. And there is ESP32 spy. This window. All right. So I'm gonna, let's see, right now I'm just on a random branch, probably from the last time I tested a PR in this library. So what I'm gonna do is go check my remotes. Okay, those are good. Fetch Adafruit. I'm gonna update Adafruit main. And I'm gonna check out Adafruit main. So now we're on the main branch and the most up-to-date version in this local repo. I'm going to copy it from here to my device. We're going to get TO connected so we can see the serial output. And I think my CodePy is probably good. This is basically the simple test for Adafruit requests. And yeah, so here is the error that we're seeing. Type error function takes 2 positional arguments, but 3 were given. This traces back ultimately to line 241 inside of, well, it's actually inside of requests. So let's look there first. New window. All right, so 241 is where that pointed us to, which we'll go and take a look at, but it's basically inside of here, and it is this line here, which is ultimately calling ReceiveInto and passing buffer and size. And it's also doing this cast thing. This is related to the typing. No, not the typing. This was related to the to a fix recently. Well, ultimately, I guess it was related to the typing as well. But this was related to a fix that got Adafruit requests working with CPython, even though it's traditionally meant for CircuitPython. It is beneficial to be able to run it in CPython as well, because then we can do some testing of it on PCs. So that's what the cast thing is doing here. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with this syntax, so I don't know exactly what it's doing. My guess is it's casting this object, self.socket, as this type. I'm not sure exactly where it gets this type from, but that's what that cast is doing. And then ReceiveInto here, these are the actual two arguments that it's talking about. And if you are at all familiar with Python, then you'll probably recognize the fact that these numbers aren't quite right. Like it says it takes 2 positional arguments, but 3 were given. And if we look back at that code, we were like, well, hey, we're only passing 2, right? Buffer and size, no more arguments, only 2. But the thing is, intrinsically, we're actually also passing self right here. We don't have to write it. The code just does it automatically. But that counts as one of the arguments. So we are passing 3, but it's actually expecting 2, which means that really we should only have 1 of these things here in order to have it work how it's expecting to. Or the other option is to change ReceiveInto to actually expect a total of 3, including self, the 2 actual arguments. So what did I change? Let's undo my change. Okay. And the fix for this was in ESP32SPY. It actually used to not have a ReceiveInto function, which meant that this branch of code right here used to be what ran. And now it does have ReceiveInto, but the signature of it was different. It had different arguments. So that's what the fix is to add that other argument back. We are going to head to here. Nope. Here. I'm going to look at one more thing as well. I'm a little curious. I haven't read the whole history of the ReceiveInto function. I'm just going to read a little bit about that history. I know it got done pretty recently. It's another one of the things that Detector has done for us. It's 55 by adding read into. Okay. Implement socket.receiveInto. Adding into to allow for a long-lived buffer provided by the client code rather than a new potentially large buffer every read. Oh, okay. So previously we would have been allocating a new buffer rather than allowing the code to manage it itself, like micromanage it, right? Make the buffer for it the exact size you want and then pass it in and have it get used. So that makes sense. So this is what got added. Talking about what it returns. Size and buff. I think they're talking about the return still. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. That's good to know. I knew that the change happened. I knew what the new function was, but I didn't really know the history of why it's helpful or when it was requested or anything like that. But that makes total sense. So here's our fix. So we're going to go back to the repo, ESP32SPY, GHPR list. This is using the GitHub command line tool. Apparently there's a new version of. We'll update that real quick. Oh, that probably took over the chat. This is a super nifty tool for folks. If you do use GitHub, if you do a lot of open source or GitHub related things, this command line tool is amazing. I do forget exactly how I update it. Oh, I think I just grabbed this deb file, and then sure I can just go here and like run this. Yeah, update. Be over here. Yes. All right. Close this. Now we should be on the latest version of that GitHub command line tool. If we run this again, it does not print that version thing for us. Also, I suppose there's probably this. Yeah. Okay, so we can see a list of all the PRs that are open. The one that we are interested in right now is 155 right here. So we're going to go GHPR checkout 155. So now our local copy of this library is on the branch that the PR is based on, which in this case has the fix we need. So now we're going to copy the library again. Copy this. I'm going to go back to the device. I'm going to delete the old one. Delete. And we're going to paste the new one. And then head back to the terminal, which is showing, again, we connected with TO. So this is showing serial output. Unable to read HTTP response. So that could just mean that we kind of transiently failed, right? Things go wrong with internet requests. It's kind of a fact of nature. So ordinarily when you have code, if it's in like a long-running project, typically you're going to want to put some error handling, right? Try to request something from the network, and then if it does not work, wait a couple of seconds, try again. If it still doesn't work, maybe try reconnecting to the network, especially Wi-Fi is a little bit finicky sometimes. We did fail twice in a row. If we fail again, it does fail again, then we'll take a look at some of these lines of code and see how they relate to whatever has changed here. Also, let's look, Detector test this on airlift featherwing, I think he mentioned. Or maybe that was the original one I must have seen. Hold argument is none. So let's look at the change too. Fix n bytes. Zero if n bytes is none. Else to read minus n bytes. To read greater than 0. It's to read. Let's turn that print on, see if that prints anything. Okay, I do gotta run and put this sun blocker up, so I'll be right back. 1 second, actually. Let's do this. Okay. And we're back. Also stopped to pet the cat. So it did not ever print. Not ever print. So I suspect we did not make it. Oh, did I just change the code in the repo? Not on my device? I did, didn't I? Yeah, totally did. Okay, well that's not gonna work. So we need to change it on the device, actually, not in the repo. Let me go back to here and roll back. On the device is what we... Now let's see if it does print anything. Ooh. Try one more. I could reset the whole device as well. I mean, it really is the kind of thing like the network communication back and forth between the main chip and the ESP does sometimes just get wonky. Like, kind of is what it is. Sometimes switching networks can help it. I have two networks here, so maybe we'll try switching to the other one. Does not look like it printed. Let's check out a couple of these lines of code real quick. 216. 58 is going to be get. Is that right? Yeah. Get, and then in request 216. And this is inside of init, the response. So we got not HTTP here. Interesting. Do we ever get to the new code? MPY? I'm going to delete the MPY. We're going to load the Python. Also just on a random branch here, so we're going to main. I'm going to copy this version. So this is the plain text Python file version of the library. Typically, you use the MPY, which is like a compiled version of the library that saves space, saves RAM. But using the plain text one is helpful because we can just look in the code and edit it. I'll find, I think, well, 241 is where this is where it died before. So let's see if we're getting into here. Inside ReceiveInto. Put parentheses. It does. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do for now is just comment out all of this. Oh, except we actually don't. Do want this part. This way it's only making one request ever. Eventually we'll turn the rest of these back on. It's actually failing on the first one, which means it's not going on anyway, but I don't necessarily need all of that. Save this, but it's not going to change the behavior. So we did get into ReceiveInto. But we did not get to here. Okay, so we'll print these. That way we can see what values we have. Read is 32, limit is 32. I wonder if this is supposed to be greater than equal? What happens if we pass none? As if we try like this. That seems to work. Well. Okay. No, that's an infinite loop. It seemed like it was working better. But then it eventually got to here and just infinite looped. It's still going. Oh. Not infinite, it finished. Wow. I am really surprised by that. I figured for sure that would be infinite. Wow, that is so... I mean, I guess I don't really know how many times it's expected for the stuff to get called. I do think there's I'm super surprised that that finished. I wonder how what would have changed? Make that infinite loop stop, or what seemed like an infinite loop. Because it is taking too long, I think. Ordinarily this would not take quite so long. What I could do is grab the other PyPortal and we could use the older version to compare. It does finish, but way too long. Let's try also let's go back to this one. And I don't really understand, I guess, what's going on here. Iterate. Read some bytes from the connected remote address into a given buffer. As many as possible or filling the buffer or timing out. To read the length of the buffer. Limit is 0 if n bytes was none. Else it's the length of the buffer minus n bytes. Length of the buffer minus n bytes. So if your buffer was 10 length and your n bytes was 2, then your limit would be 10 minus 2, which is 8. So then your to read, which is the length of the buffer, is 10. 10 is greater than 8. So you would go inside of here. Start equals the length of the buffer minus to read, but to read is the length of the buffer. So at least the first time start would be 0. Then to read minus equals length of receive. Okay, read. So if we received 4, 10 minus 4 is 6. Let's say to read is down to 6. End is length of the buffer, which is 10 minus to read, which is now 6. End is 4. Buffer start is 0. Said end 6. No, 4. End is 4. I'm gonna have to write some of these down. I don't know if I'm remembering the right ones now. It was 10 minus 2 read, which was had 4 subtracted from it, so 2 read was 6. Minus 6 is 4. 0, 4 equals byte array receive. Select. Check for the timeout. Boot back around. 2 read is now 6. 6 is not greater than 8. So we end up collecting, returning 10 minus 6, which is 4. But our n bytes was 2, I think. So we should not have received 4 bytes, I don't think. But I guess it just made up the 4, though, right? When we got to here. Minimum between 2 read, which was 10, available. This comes from this. I don't know how many it would be. But and I just made up the number 10 for the buffer size and 2 for n bytes. I have no idea if those are like values that actually make sense for those things. What if we do this? Print buff length size see what numbers we're actually getting. The length of the buffer is 32, and then size was 0. Default. Response. So where does this get called from? Two is one place. Read into. Calls it here with no size. That's in throwaway. I don't even, there's no document for this one. What is throwaway? Why would throwaway be receiving anything? Throwaway sounds to me like like deinitialize or garbage collect or something. I don't understand why that would ever receive anything. Or like read from buffer, like what is throwaway doing? Why does it need to read from anything? Doesn't really, there's no string that says like what throwaway is supposed to do though, so. I don't know. Weird. I probably just am not understanding the context of it though, like what it means. I assume it means like deinitialize or garbage collect basically, but it must not. ReceiveInto. There was one more, I think. 8. Also in throwaway. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Let's put everything back to normal. And post a comment on the PR that shows the output. And then Detector maybe can look into it some more. I'm in a bit over my head, I feel like, in terms of the actual bytes being read and all of that stuff. I'm not really sure that I am the best person to troubleshoot inside of requests and inside of the socket. I don't have a super clear understanding of really what all is going on, truthfully. Okay, so we're on the fix branch. That's what we want. Copy this. Requests, main, we updated. Test on a PyPortal with 720 alpha. We're on alpha 1. trigger handler, buffer handling. So the one thing that I did notice, which I want to put in this also, is that in the new code, so okay, here's what we'll do. Let's take this, copy here. I'm gonna paste this here. I only mentioned the stream in case if Detector sees this, he could come back onto YouTube and watch and see the testing that we did. Might be helpful in figuring out what the problem is. I don't know for sure if it will be, but and then so what did we notice? We noticed they were equal, right? I could just try making it greater equal, but I'm kind of concerned by the other one also. When we set it to, when we didn't pass it and it took none, I think it took way longer than it should have. So I don't, maybe that's a separate issue, but I feel like we have a problem there also. No. Let this run once. I think it was 32 and 32. I'm gonna double check. Yeah. What? This is out of order. Did I type it out of order? Okay. I do want to move on because I do think some of this stuff is a bit beyond me, and I'm sure Tektrick, having been in here and done a bunch of it recently, may have a better idea of what's going on. But I do think it's worth trying one sort of quick fix here, I guess. What if we just did this? So it feels like it's going to be doing that thing where it's taking a very long time. Like it was before when it was just printing like 18 bytes to read, and I thought it was an infinite loop, but it eventually ended. That feels like where we're at now again. What I'm going to do is let it run for a minute, and I am going to go grab the other PyPortal. I have another PyPortal, and that will make it easy to compare with the previous versions of this stuff, so we can get some comparison on how long the request takes with the older versions. I'll be right back. Okay. Other PyPortal is in the Etch-a-Sketch. I don't know if it is actually going to complete. I mean, it took a while. So I didn't really time it before, but it did take a while. What is... I have this commented out, I wonder. Why did I not comment on a line of code? It's not part of the PR, but I can highlight it. I don't even... What does highlighting do if I can't do anything with it? Super annoying. Huh? So this is, yeah, this is still running. I don't, if it is gonna complete, it's not gonna, there's still something wrong. It shouldn't be taking that long. So what I'm gonna do, have the Etch-a-Sketch PyPortal. Which has the Etch-a-Sketch code on it by default, but we're going to change it. If folks are interested in this Etch-a-Sketch project, I'm not really going to be diving too much into it on this stream, but I did make some of the parts for this on the stream. If you go back through the YouTube history, you can find some of the videos where I was working on this Etch-a-Sketch, but it does have a PyPortal inside of it, which is what I will be using it for right now. So I'm going to go create a new one. I'm going to copy all of this into here. Now we're just going to grab requests simple test. Drop that into code. We'll just of thing except the first get. Actually, well, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So this is connecting to the same network. It's basically in the same area, right? It's right on my desk in the same spot as the other one was. So, you know, it's not something like where I have a real poor Wi-Fi signal or something like that, and that was causing it to take too long. This one should have basically the same signal as the other one. In fact, I believe this is pretty similar to what the other one printed. Yeah, 41 versus 45. We're pretty close to the Wi-Fi here. And that succeeded within just a couple of seconds, maybe 4 or 5 seconds tops, something like that. I do not know, though, what versions any of this stuff we have. I think what we'll do is... .5.14. I think that's the previous version. Yeah. Okay. So that, I think, is a transient. That's just like the internet didn't work that time, right? We just failed the request. but I don't think it will fail the same way every single time. I think that's just one of those sort of random network errors that are just going to happen. It's kind of another one, and it does, unfortunately, sometimes once you fail once or twice, it does kind of get it into a weird state where then you kind of need to reset. The other thing I'll do is right now we're on 7.0.0. We should update to same one as the other one. We'll be resetting some anyway. Yeah, so I think our ESP is in an unhappy state right now. I actually need to use a little pokey bit. Get to the reset button on this one. There's a little hole on the back here. The reset button inside of it. Nope. Nope. There we go. All right, let's see if this is any happier after a reset. We may need to like full power down reset. Just let the ESP and the main device reset. This device reboots twice. I don't know why. Something else must be writing to the file system. I do wonder if that bothers it though. Like it got halfway into this fetching and then rebooted. I wonder if the ESP could be in a weird state. So it's not responding. I'm gonna unplug this. Wait for a second, plug it back in. And I actually just used buttons. I have buttons on my USB hub here. Not responding. It's never wants to. Easy sometimes, I guess. So this is where actually when we very first started the stream, Dexter mentioned that he's using the Feather S2 and the Featherwing for the screen. Make like a Franken PyPortal, and I was saying that's nice because the Wi-Fi is on the main chip. Wi-Fi is not a secondary chip, which this PyPortal, it's the secondary chip, and now we're having this issue where secondary chip is not responding right, so none of our stuff is working. And that's where the Wi-Fi being part of the main chip is actually really kind of nice. There's less stuff that can go wrong. There's still plenty of stuff that can go wrong in networking in general, but it's not quite as much, which is nice. Just try unplugging and replugging again. Responding. We're like stuck now, huh? responding. Well, we maybe cannot test this then, I guess. I don't know really know what to do to get around this. So we have no module, which makes sense. We just deleted it. Product roulette. Random numbers. See if there's a native fruit product for that number. Nice. PyPortal framework. I'm gonna paste this. I'm gonna let it finish, hopefully, all the way. And once it seems like it's definitely done, then we'll break out and go back to our code. Hmm. Oh, that's alright, actually. See if anybody's got any ideas here in the old help with room. Did want to, a bit of a bummer. I did want to actually try this on a different one and see that it was working all right, but doesn't look like we're going to be able to. I mean, I guess I could go back to the old version on the other PyPortal, but I don't really want to switch the versions back and forth that much. That was kind of the appeal of being able to grab the other PyPortal, was like, not having to go back and forth. We're getting the reset pin. I have no idea. Do you set the reset pin high or low? Not really setting a direction though. False. Yeah, I saw that actually. The somebody mentioned on the issue on that repo that was back up today. I saw that notification go by this morning. So that I think means that issue was just with the demo server instance and was not that the source page changed and broke the parsing. It's a good sign. For a minute, I was worried like maybe NASA changed the structure of the page and then it wouldn't be able to parse right. Oh, I saw these the other night on the new products. I guess it would have been on Ask an Engineer or something. They're all out of stock now. I feel like the four-way ones, the four-wire ones, would be really cool for I2C bus. Like Stemma ports made I2C connections really quick and easy to do. This would even be like the next level of that, magnetic connection I2C ports. I think that'd be really cool. So our value was false. I guess if we just go, we just set it to true, does that mean that the ESP is going to reset? I mean, I assume this happens inside of here, so I don't really expect this to make that much of a difference, but pretty much out of ideas at this point, so might as well give it a try. I'll print in between each of these to see if it's even changing. Can't set it because the direction is input. It's set to output here. Why is there a GPIO 0 pin? SPI, CS pin, ready pin, reset pin. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 we're passing. I wonder what this does. Self.reset. Interesting. When it resets, it's using this GPIO 0. If the mag connectors are reversible, you'd need 7 pins for stemma. Why would you need 7? Why would you need 7 pins instead of 4? Isn't stemma usually has just 4 inside there, doesn't it? So this actually does a lot of stuff, not just the reset pin. Sets the CS pin high, sets the reset pin low, waits, sets the reset pin high, waits again, does this GPIO 0 thing again. let's try this. If reversed, you need symmetry. Duplicating 3. I guess you're saying like if you can flip it upside down basically and then connect it, because there's nothing stopping this. I don't have it pulled up anymore. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. There's nothing stopping. There's two different ways these can plug together. These could plug together like this, where both of the sets of these pins are angled down. Like these pins on the backside, we can't see them, but they're angled down here, the same way these ones are. But you could also unplug this, turn the whole thing over 180 degrees, and plug it back in which case one set of your pins would be bent upwards and the other one would be bent downwards. And the magnets would all still connect, and that would swap around some of your wires, yeah. So you would either, I see what you're saying. So if you duplicate 3 of the pins, then you can make it to where it flips over and it's correct. You could also just stipulate, like, this is the correct way, don't plug it in the wrong way. Honestly, it'd be nice if they would have put a notch. This is what I mean, I guess it's nice because it's flexible that it can work either way, but if they would put like an extra notch or something on the top here and a thing that goes into it here or whatever, then it would like prevent you from plugging it in the wrong way. You'd have to have it, well, I say the wrong way, but it'd prevent you from plugging it in upside down the other way. Not really wrong or right, I suppose. Because you could wire it, you could actually wire it to where one of them is meant to bend down and the other one is meant to bend up. And as long as you wire both sides with that knowledge, then you're okay. But yeah, it's not really wrong way, right way. But it is different way, at least. Oh, the magnets. The magnets, that's a good call. Yeah, so it's, we don't have a notch, but the magnets do prevent. They would repel instead of attract. Good point. Yep. So we turn debug on. Let's see if that gives us anything more helpful. Oh, no, we already ran once and it still failed the same way. Oh, that was something. Too many things that say connect. Is there a connect method? Yeah. I think I'm not convinced that we should print the password here in plain text. And in completely unrelated news, I'm going to pull this over to here where no one can see it and look at the print statements. So it did print a lot more things, but it does still fail the same way. All right. I'm gonna make an issue for that and fix it at some point. Not right now, but I don't think it should do that. I don't think it should. Well, that's useless. What is that? All right. Well, I think we are stuck here. I don't. Did anybody say anything here? No. Yeah. I don't seem to have any ability to use my ESP on this PyPortal right now. Can't really just keep running with this on. Hmm. Huh? What? Import board. Yeah. I got a reply. Yep. It's really odd. You could try reflashing the firmware. I'm guessing it either has simply failed or there's something very odd written in the data part of the ESP32 flash. Or anything connected. There are things connected. Could see a gallery of these or something. That's so big. I don't know which one's which. I could open them locally. Fuzzy. I don't even know. What do they call those things? Rotary encoder? Yeah, but I'm not gonna right now. I think if I have ever used the internet on this since I got the Etch-a-Sketch put together. I don't know if I have. I guess it's possible something in the Etch-a-Sketch circuit. See, you ever get a successful one? Go back and watch. I don't want to scroll. Right. Yeah, that's ideal that it prints that. Yeah, clear, so I can't scroll. That's alright, whatever. And now I guess, setting. But fail. Oh, it's failing because of this, right? Or actually, I don't know why it would have failed. Did it fail? Didn't run. Huh. Awesome. Well, it has an extra reset? Is that it? I added that, right? Yeah. And that is sometimes how internet things go. Looks like you could remove the far end of... well, yeah, in the photo it does look like that. I think there are only 2 screws, I guess. Visualization. I think it does, but I'm not actually sure. Where is this G0 here? Let's just use MOSI, ISO, and SCK. Okay. So it succeeded this time. If I take this back out, does it go back to failing? I mean, I'm betting it probably just works fine now. Honestly. Unfortunately, this is the deal with the communication between those two. Just sometimes they're not in the state that they think that the other one thinks it's in, and just doesn't figure it out. And like resetting it, getting it to reset once or an extra time, however many times it resetted, I don't actually know, but for whatever reason that just jogged it. It's like giving your old school TV a whack on the side there when the reception's not coming in. Walk up there, give it a whack, and then all of a sudden you got a clear picture. It's pretty much like that, just without hitting it. So what was I trying to test? Yeah, anyway, what I was trying to test is the previous version of ESP Spy 32, E32 Spy, does succeed, and does succeed very quickly, right? This is only... I got about 8 or 9 seconds. Those were not scientifically calculated or anything. Those were some silent Mississippis in my head, but I got about 8 or 9 seconds there to get that to succeed. Whereas the other one, we left it running for over a minute, and it still never succeeded. And that one, when it infinite looped, or when it felt like an infinite loop, that one I'm pretty sure we left running for at least a minute as well. Probably longer, but... So does any of this actually help? About if debug is 1 or true, it doesn't print the password if debug is greater than 2. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I do like that. Oh. Oops. Different Dan H. Okay. Detector will need to probably take another look into this. And this goes to show you, like, sometimes the ones you think are going to be easy don't actually turn out to be easy, because I was honestly thinking this one was going to be just test it, run the simple test, see that it works, check the code over real quick, and pretty much call it good. But it turns out that that was not the case. We got some extra testing, we got some new information put in the PR for Tetrick to look at, and I'll find something else to review as well. Seagrover, if Seagrover is watching, I think Seagrover, you just made this. I did notice, I think we want to change the version. Let's see. See, Grover, if you're still here, I do think we want to put this back. I don't know exactly how it got changed. It sounds like you didn't necessarily mean to change it. Maybe the CI or something did it automatically. I think we do need to put that back, though. I think we can try it, though, right? Okay. Yeah. I have a 2.4. I mean, I guess I have this one too, but it's on my macro pad here. Those we could use. I'm gonna grab the 2.4, I think. 0.4-inch featherwing. This contains example code. So for folks that don't know, I guess I realize I just started talking to Grover, and obviously Grover knows what's up with this, but this is adding the ability to use display button, which is a different library that can draw a button on the display, and then it uses the touchscreen to know when you pressed it. This is a PR that uses, that allows this STMPE 610, which is a touchscreen driver, to use that display button. They didn't used to work together correctly, from what I understand. So we are gonna open the repo. And open it from this one. Since if I have it, we'll see. I have a lot of them downloaded. Yep, there it is. So this window. And fix the version when we get back to the studio. Cool. I can, I don't think that will make a difference for testing either, so I'll go ahead and test it out now, and then I don't think that should really, once you add that commit, I don't think it should really change anything with the testing, so. I don't know exactly how it works, but somehow when it does get released, it like builds a version where it fills that in, and then that's what gets MPY crossed, put on the assets page, put in the bundle and all of that stuff. So let's go remote. What do we got here? I'm gonna change this while I'm here. Get remote, rename, origin, 8. Oh, nope, foamyguy. Get remote, add, data fruit. I guess I don't need this, right? I could probably still do it without this, but we might as well. Well, we definitely don't want to do that. Okay. Data fruit. Oh. Here. Well, packages here. Okay. Fruit. Thanks for working on this, by the way. Grover, this is nice. I'm always stoked to see new like display I/O and interactive touchscreen functionality added to anything, whether it's the drivers or new widgets for display I/O. I know you worked on some of that stuff as well. I'm always stoked to see new stuff in the display and an interactive input world. So. Okay, we're here on main. I'm gonna grab the featherwing. I gotta grab that. It's upstairs, so I'll be right back. Right. I need to update touchscreen with the automatic rotation. Automatic rotation? So like it knows the rotation without you having to set it? Okay. So I'm gonna put this back actually to Etch-a-Sketch. This one is like its own little finished product here. Project, I should say. Synchronized touch with display. Oh, so you don't have to set them separately, I see. If you change the orientation of the display, then automatically the touchscreen knows. That's pretty nifty. I do like that. Okay. Here's our Etch-a-Sketch. Back to normal. I still got a couple improvements I want to make to that Etch-a-Sketch. I never did make a guide for it either. It might be cool to do the last couple of features that I had in mind and then maybe make a guide for it. So I have a Feather RP2040. We're going to plug it into this feather wing. Try to do it on camera here. I don't know if I can get it all lined up. It's a little awkward to hold it out here. Got it. Nice thing is I can kind of turn it around and look at the camera. See it from the backside. Okay. Need our USB-C cable. Plug that in. Okay, so I have test from something else. We don't need that. I'm going to start with simple test. Which, is that one actually new, or? Let's go back to the PR here. Button demo, paint demo, touchpoint simple test, yeah. Calibrator. So this is basically making this match the API of, I guess, touchscreen library, whatever the library that the PyPortal ends up using. Seems like. Okay. Okay, so we'll save that. We'll go ahead and update as well. 7.10 beta 3, we might as well update. Can we do this? Okay. Unstable. Yeah, this is actually another thing that is kind of in my list of stuff to work on one of these days. Get this thing to recognize more boards. I think we have a way to do it now. That's the good news, is we started added a file somewhere. Databot maybe? Somewhere there's a file that's like a list of boards that maps. There's 2 simple tests, one for legacy. That's the same as touchscreen. Yeah, I was recognizing the one from touchscreen there, I think. And then there is a calibrator, which we'll use also after the simple test, and then the button and the paint. So we need to bootloader mode here. Nope, didn't get it. There we go. I feel like there's a different cadence to these. Some of them, they need the double click a little faster, and some of them, they need the double click a little slower. It just depends on the main board and what the port is and everything. I think there's probably different logic on some of them that's handling the double click stuff. All right. Ended up in safe mode. That might have been before we ended up changing firmware though. So I'm going to take the version we're testing. That's what I'm going to paste in my lib folder. Be missing a few other things, we'll see. No? Okay. We'll do this. Waiting for us to press it. I'll do that, and we see that we are getting some values there, and the values change as I move my finger around to different areas. Perfect. And these are right now not like pixels, but instead just like resistance values. And so then the calibrator, I believe, will basically map the resistance values to the pixels. Then we'll be able to use like the button demo or the paint demo, and it will be able to associate the place we're touching on the screen with the actual pixels that are being drawn there as well. So calibrator. And I haven't run this yet, so I don't know exactly what order it goes in or anything, so we'll just kind of do this all on the fly, I think. ILI 9, we can circup install that one. We don't need any particular version. Simple IO. Oh, you know what? What is it? Circup. Isn't there a way to do the CodePy now, right? I think there is. Auto. Yeah. Of course, I only had one left, but we still got to use it anyway. Okay. Let's get the camera. Ooh, okay. Look at that. Nice. Got a visual thing here too, even. So we're gonna go use a stylus to swipe slightly beyond the 4 edges of the visible display area. So we're basically supposed to draw a box around the outside. That's my interpretation. I'm gonna grab a stylus. I don't have a stylus within arm's reach, but I think I know where one's at, so I'll be right back. Oh, bit of a sore neck as yesterday. So I have Game Boy, which is not actually a Game Boy. This is a DS. Call it a Game Boy though. It has a stylus. Nice. Got the product roulette code. There's like that before. You might. Dexter, have you ever gone on Show and Tell? I mean, that's a cool kind of project you could go on Show and Tell. I can't speak for them, but PT or Lady Ada, they might be interested in having you make a guide for that if you're interested in doing that. Looking for min-vax values from the edges. But if you are interested ever in like making a guide for any of the projects you've done, a good way to kind of get started on that is go on Show and Tell first, and then they can see what it is, and a lot of times they could ask you from there. We're gonna trace all the way around here. And I imagine I can just kind of keep doing it. So really what I'm going to do is also just kind of wiggle along this line to try to get it to the very edge, basically, right? Because it's looking for, it's like C. Grover said there, it's looking for maximum minimum. So we want to really get it to the extreme edges here, if I'm understanding correctly. So we'll give it a little of that. Now, it's printing these for us, which we will copy. And this ends up going in the other one. Calibration. Oh, I'll just fill it in. Fine, which we're pretty close, but not exact. Makes sense. There's like variance in the hardware and stuff. So, and it's like it's such an analog thing. Like it's the resistance is changing as you touch different areas. So it's like analog reading the resistance. So it's not like an exact science necessarily. It kind of has a little bit of wiggle room, and so the calibration is what helps it get acclimated to the current setup of the hardware and the resistances and everything. Have to give that touchscreen calibration program a try. Yeah, you could store those in NVM. Definitely could. I think you may eventually find that you need to come back and change them. I don't know for 100% sure. C. Grover maybe has a deeper insight into like the core principles at play, but I suspect even things like I think even things like temperature and humidity might play a little bit of a factor into these resistance values. So, you know, like if you did it once in the winter and then did it again on, you know, the hot summer day or something, like those resistances may change slightly. And so you might need to recalibrate based on your environment. I'm not an electrical engineer. Don't know that much about resistance. I could absolutely be incorrect on that. So don't take that as like definite fact, but that's kind of my current understanding of it with regards to those calibrations. But you could store it in NVM, and then, you know, you could like write the calibrator to store it, and then you could write the demo to read it. For instance, if you were on devices with NVM, you could have some kind of scheme like that. They don't drift too much. Temperature is the primary issue. Okay. So we have the button demo. We're going to do that. Copy this. I'm going to do button first, and then we'll do, well, wait, this one doesn't use the calibration? Because this one is not, this one is just resistance. No. Is it? Did I do this before? Second guessing myself now. It's definitely doing touch points. Okay, yeah, this feels like resistances. It's bigger than the screen display. Most fingers are larger. That's a very good point as well. Yeah, if you, for resistive touchscreens, if you're using your finger, you know, it's quite a large area that's getting touched compared to a stylus is more of that pinpoint. So it can, if the calibration is off by a little bit, it's unlikely to matter for a finger because the finger is such a large area anyway. Are we, Seagrover, are we expecting this one, touch point simple test, to do screen XY coordinates? Or would this be essentially like resistance values or whatever? Or did I miss? It's a legacy test. Okay. So I probably will have to install button. I'm gonna do this again. Huh. Oh, I didn't save. Means it was Circup saw the old version of the code before I pasted the new one. Here we go. And now we got everything. Button shapes, display text, okay. Alright, save that. Here. This feels kind of familiar. So I should be getting something other than the white screen, I think, right? I should have a black screen with a button on it. I think... Is there any chance these are on the wrong pins? Keep it the same as touchscreen button test. And this is written for the feather wing. Is that right? But I guess it depends on the feather too. Well, the feathers I think have different pins. Be black with a button. Yeah, see, these are different on different feathers. This page also doesn't have RP2040 on it yet. So we'll need to look, let's compare. We can look at an M4 feather and compare it to an RP2040 feather, and this will tell us the pin. So on a M4, CS is on 9 and DC is on 10. We're gonna go get a nice big giant picture of this. We're gonna get a nice big giant picture of this. I believe how nice these RP2040 based devices, right? This is 11, what is this? 1195 for this feather. Like almost half the cost of the CMD51 feathers. Like, so powerful. Okay, so this is our feather M4. 9 and 10 are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or 4 in from the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 9 and 10 also, actually. Three, 4. Yeah, this is 9 and 10 also, actually. Maybe this. So select line labeled RT. Also says in 6, which was in the same spot. This is the RP2040. 6 is here. And 4, which is one that it lists, 6 is here as well. I feel like I have had this problem before. This is very... This is very deja vu-like. That works as mains power. There it goes. I just turned it off and back on. I have no idea. I have no idea. Somehow we got into a state, though, where it was not drawing, but now it is. So everything was wired up right. Just was a little unhappy for a minute. So we do have our button, though. Try with my finger first, and it is working. Turned red. So that's the pressed state is red. Grab the stylus here. Maybe get, like, outside of it, inside of it. That is looking pretty good to me. Ooh. Why did it reset? I don't know why it reset. That's looking pretty good to me. Does not register if I'm outside, and it does register if I'm inside. Even if I'm like right on the edge, it's picking it up, so. Let's test it with M4. Well, we have a successful test with RP2040 now as well. So we're good there. Let's do the paint demo also. Ooh, RGB display, this one. Oh, so this is not display I/O. Yeah. I was using the older display driver. Does it have calibration? Not by default, but it does. We could pass it, right? We could get past here. Yeah. We should do the size also. Oh, well, I don't know if we're going to have display height and width. Let's just start with calibration. I don't know if RGB display has those. It probably does. Unexpected argument. By touchscreen CS pin calibration. By got ST instead of TS on this one, which is interesting, but it seems like it should be the same. SPY CS pin calibration. Why is it unexpected? Oh, okay. Was it? It was maybe unexpected before. So that looked in my site packages, which doesn't have. Maybe if calibration didn't exist previously. SCK in use. So that I think is probably due to like resetting a couple of times while it was trying to do its thing. I think we may just might just need to do like a reset here. So one of the nice things about this feather wing is there's a little switch, which is like acts as a power switch for the whole feather. You just flip that switch off and then back on. Okay, so, and I think it does not print anything. Yeah, so it's probably just running right now, waiting for us to touch it to draw something. Be my guess. Indeed it is. There we go. And I don't think, yeah, I do think I've seen this demo before. It's been quite a while. But it is coming back to me as old code, and I think there is no like dynamic way to clear it, but I could always just break to REPL and then relaunch it, and as long as we don't get like the SCK in use or whatever, this should clear it for us. Ooh. Oh, it reset again. I don't know why it's doing that. Didn't make a very good diagonal there, but it is following where I'm drawing. Pretty much on the nose, so I do believe we are good here as well. So I think what I'll do is just leave a review, and then it's the wrong PR. Once you have a chance to put that switch that version back out, then I think we're probably good to go. Take a quick look through the code here. I noticed there's quite a few like docs improvements as well, so I appreciate that. Also, like fixing the doc strings with all the arguments and stuff. I think you did a bunch of that as well, so thank you for that. Map range. Okay, so this is a function that ends up mapping the resistance range back to the display pixel size. Yeah, some of this stuff here, like you improved the docs here, which is really nice. Turn this into a multi-line. I think there was some talk about giving up the I2C version of this driver. I didn't even know there was one. Truthfully, I didn't even know you could use this over I2C. Doesn't sound like there's any hardware that's currently manufactured, at least by Adafruit, that uses the I2C. Sounds like. What if any touches were detected? Yeah, like all of this didn't have any of the doc strings before. Here's our SPI. So this would be the one that we're actually using. And again, none of the doc strings really existed before. Or even the example code too. So honestly, this will be a huge improvement on the docs page as well. Okay, so here's where if you don't pass calibration, it just uses default values there. Default values for the size also. This is probably why on that touch point one we were getting much bigger than 320 by 240. Wings reset button presses against the desktop. Oh, like if you have it, yeah. That's true. Yeah, when you push down on it, that is probably where a couple of my fandom resets come from, actually. That's a good point. Controller chip is obsolete. Yeah, I'm on board with getting rid of the I2C one. If it's not... I think Jerry or somebody, it's either you or Jerry, somebody mentioned that it didn't work very reliably anyway, and the hardware that it did work with is no longer, it's like out of stock and no longer manufactured by Adafruit, so if anybody does have it, it's recommended to use SPI anyway, kind of. And if the whole controller chip is obsolete, if there's something new and better in the pipeline, then I'd be all for Xing I2C one. That would get rid of some of the duplicated code as well. Nice. Yeah. I didn't see anything really too alarming there. Hey Doc CS, appreciate the follow there on Twitch. Let's go. I'm gonna go ahead and do an approve, but we will change that version when you have a chance. Changes look good to me. Said all of the new examples with other RP 2040. And 2.0 alpha 1. That's right. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for working on this. Is on the board. Oh, I'm also on board with the idea of removing the I2C driver. This hardware is no longer available. You know what I never did check was if anything else. No, okay, good thing too. I hope Dan didn't ask me something else or respond back to me. I just ignored him this whole time. Yeah, thank you. Thank you again for working on this. This is awesome. We have some other touch capable widgets that are kind of modeled after the display button. So this mentions being able to be used with display button, but this will also enable it for some other stuff as well. Like the there's a switch, there's a number counter where you can press up and down arrow buttons and stuff like that. So there's a couple other touch capable widgets that this will also work for, I believe. Other one I think I'm going to look at today, fingers crossed, we'll see. I think this one might be not taking too long, is going to be this HT, this. Oh, let me take a peek in on this one too, actually. Curious if this person ever wrote back. No. Okay. This person submitted a PR to be able to use multiple, I believe it's the 14 segments, but it may work with 7 segments also. Yeah, it looks like multiple 14x4. This person made the PR to be able to, because you can connect more than one with different, you can use jumpers to change the I2C addresses. That way you can have like one of them is on address 70, one of them is on address 71, so on and so forth. There's like 8 different addresses you can use based on the jumpers. This person made it to where you can initialize it with, you know, the multiple different addresses that you're using, and then the rest of the time you just treat it as one thing, right? You no longer, once you initialize it, you no longer care that it's multiples. You can just write the string to all of it, and it will just go right along from the first one to the second one silently. So it's basically like giving you a chained set of those segments without you having to, like, you know, actually be like, okay, set the first one to this string and set the second one to this part of the string and the third one to this part of the string, right? This would get kind of convoluted pretty quick, but this allows you to kind of just gloss it over. You set it up right, and then you just tell it the full string, and it handles the rest, which is pretty nice. But it does need some work to pass actions. And also Jeff had a couple of suggestions about refactoring it to use a base class. I had left a comment to see if this person was interested in coming back and doing it. It doesn't seem like they are. Kind of, they haven't really commented since they made it, I don't think, so my guess is that they're probably not coming back to do that. So it'll either get closed or I kind of like the idea of having the multiples, especially for folks that if you watch new products this week on Ask an Engineer, they showed kind of like the main new product this week was a new version of the backpack for these displays. So, and it has a stemma in and a stemma out, which means it's super easy to connect multiples together. So being able to have that multi-PR would actually be really nice in light of that new product. So maybe I will take on the task of fixing that PR up if the original person doesn't do it and if nobody else does. We added a commit to fix only the example file, but the code works for me. Can you retest or provide some more info so I can confirm it works or reproduce what you're seeing? Running on 711 high badge. I was on a Feather RP 2040, I think. But yeah, we'll definitely give this a try. There are a couple new commits since the last time I looked, although this is space and extra sleep. Purge branch from main. This looks like a pylon fix. Okay. I'm going to test this one hopefully real quick here, and then I'll probably wrap up the stream after that. We got kind of down in the weeds a little bit on that first one. On the network stack in the PyPortal. But I do want to check this one out as well. So we're going to go GHPR list, GHPR checkout 96. Yeah. Thanks for the link here. This is the new product one. So there used to be a similar form factor as this with the 4 pins up here, but the good thing now, the cool thing about these new ones is they have the stemma plugs on the back. So there's stemma in, stemma out, which means it's super easy to chain them. Whereas before they didn't have the stemma connectors. You could still technically chain using these 4 pins here. But it's now super duper easy because of the stemma. You just tack on another wire, plug on another one of the backpacks. And I suspect, I mean, there's probably 14 segments too, or... Yeah, here's the old one. Not a new one for the 14. Well, we could look under new products. It'll probably be listed there. Well, some of these aren't new though. No, okay. It looks like maybe specifically the 7 segments did get done this time around, not the 14. I don't know if they're interchangeable. Maybe it's actually interchangeable? Not sure. One way or another, though, that multi, if it does work with 7 segments, that'd be awesome since the new ones are out there. But even if it doesn't, it'd be a neat thing to get merged in. Okay, so we're on custom characters. I'm gonna, let's see here. I'm gonna plug this back into my doubler here. Yep, all out of stock. That's how, I mean, the new products, like, usually that first batch of them, there's not that many. It's a couple dozen or something, and there's so many people that watch on Wednesdays that those new products are usually sold out by the end of the shows that night. There's a discount code as well, so folks are kind of incentivized to buy it right then. All right, so we're gonna plug this in. Go to here. Grab this, copy. That's in here. This was the test. Whoa, this was the test for new stuff, which basically this PR that we're looking at was adding the ability to declare custom characters, basically. That way you can use them with the marquee that scrolls past. We used to have the ability to do number digits and then hex letters as well, all the letters you need for hex, so A through F. And then somebody came along and said, hey, I think it'd be really cool if we could have the O and the L, since you're able to make those with a 7-segment, because they wanted to have it right LOL. And we got that merged in, and it was mentioned on that PR, you know, wouldn't it be nice if we could actually have more custom ones as well? Maybe you could add whatever letters, any letters that, you know, you can come up with a 7-segment pattern for, then maybe you could be able to add those. So that's what this PR is doing. And this is the tester code for it. So I will say it is tough to see on the camera. Let me a little better, but not super easy to see. It's pretty easy to see, kind of like looking directly at it. It does seem to be working. I'm not getting the same problem I saw before, which was a bunch of the letters were missing. Like this video was the same code, so like scrolling, it's like only has the C and the OLL. And it doesn't have the rest of the word. It doesn't have like any of the numbers or anything, but now the live one here is doing scrolling. So they're scrolling dot dot dot, scrolling dot dot dot, scrolling. So one thing is the dot has the middle bar on. I don't know if this is live underneath. So it seems to be lighting the middle horizontal segment. So it looks like it's writing like dot dash dot dash dot dash instead of dot dot dot. 2040. So what we're testing on 720 alpha 1. Period character. On the period character, it also seems to be lighting the middle horizontal segment to the right of the dot. And just have hyphens in it, does it? Okay, yeah, this is definitely just dot, dot, dot. And if we just took out everything except the dots, we would still see all the hyphens. That's cool. Yeah. We have like all dots. We end up with the hyphens too. I will also mention in here so it's clear like where it's at in the code basically. Okay. This one seems pretty close. I mean, the hyphens are not that big of a deal, but it would be good maybe to get that resolved too. And then probably this is ready to go after that, so pretty cool. Hopefully Detector will have a chance to look into this one as well. All right, so I'm gonna take a quick peek here just to see, make sure nobody responded to me anywhere that I need to follow up on or anything. Ah, yeah, actually there's some here. The supply buffer, but point it to the global dot underscore buffer. Yeah, see, some of these details I'm not really following all the way exactly. I do know Anecdata does a lot with the network stack though. Anecdata is a good person to have eyes on this for sure. All right, I think. Oh yeah, paper. I do sometimes throw paper over the top. I do want to get some of this acrylic though, right? This is the same stuff from the. Yeah, this is the same stuff from the Matrix portal. I do want to get some of this stuff. I don't have any, but it does make the. I will say I've seen some of the videos of some of the stuff that like Noah and Pedro and some other folks made of the Matrix portal around the time it came out, and yeah, this acrylic that goes over the top does make it look really, really nice. Which I assume, yeah, would probably do the same kind of thing for me here with this. I do throw paper on top of it sometimes. white paper. That's a good tip as well. Just a thin sheet of white paper, even like white printer paper, you can stick over it, and the LEDs usually will be bright enough to shine through. But the paper will kind of cut it some, like dull it, so it doesn't just overwhelm the camera sensor. So that's definitely a good tip. But I think I'm going to wrap it up here. So we got a couple PRs reviewed for the day. I'll probably be doing some more PR reviews tomorrow at some point, but going to play with the shop. Going to play in my dad's shop today. Do some woodworking. Theatrical lighting gels. Interesting. Sounds more expensive. Bet you that's some really good stuff though. It's like specifically engineered to do exactly that. I bet you it's really good at what it does. But yeah, I'm gonna head out for now. I will be back definitely next Saturday. Probably on Monday at some point I'll stream. I've been streaming in the mornings on Mondays because I am working on CircuitPython all day Mondays this year. Starting this year, I should say. I mean, I plan to do it into next year and beyond as well, but starting this year is when it began. So I have been streaming Monday mornings, but I don't have a set schedule for Mondays. I just kind of hop on when I'm feeling like it. So you might be able to catch me Monday. You could follow me on Twitch if you want to get a notification when I do. But otherwise, I will be back definitely Saturday. Next Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time. That's when I normally stream. That's what time I started today. That was about 3 hours ago. So whatever time zone you're in, whatever time it was about 3 hours ago on Saturdays, that's when I start streaming. And yeah, this looks unrelated. So somebody is asking me something in the CircuitPython dev chat here. But I'm going to head out and then take a look at what they're asking. Check into it. Yeah, thanks for hanging out here in the chat and watching along. Thank you, C. Grover, again for all the work you did on the touchscreen there. Dexter, thanks for all the stuff you've shared. You've shared a bunch of different examples, throughout the whole time I've been streaming, honestly. So thank you for all the stuff you've made. But today it was the product roulette, which is a pretty neat project. So if anybody wants to check out what Dexter made today, this is it here. It's linked a little further up in the chat. And yeah. Hope everybody's got a good day, good weekend and everything. I'll catch you next time.